Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is my first official episode, and this particular segment is going to be called Life, Trauma, Love, and it is all about my life's journey and the lessons that I've learned. What I'm going to do is go by my notes from my journaling that I've done over the last couple of years, and for the longest I wouldn't journal or do diary or whatever. I don't know. I always hear people talk about doing it, therapists talk about doing it, and I never did until, like I said, a couple of years ago. And now I actually appreciate it and like it because you can go back and as you evolve and grow and, just deal with certain things in life, you can go back and look at your life, especially in your childhood, and you can see where maybe some certain things came about. Like maybe you didn't know that you've always been a certain way since you were a kid, or maybe some of the things you went through caused you to feel a certain way about certain things. So yeah, I like it. It's pretty cool. I think you should give it a try if you haven't already. And it's therapeutic. I mainly started because my husband would always talk so vividly about his childhood, and I was like, I don't really remember. I have little bits and pieces of it, no full on whole story of a particular situation or moment. And my therapist at the time told me that I should, start writing down what I do remember. And in the process, maybe I remember more. And it did help some. I do wish my memory of my childhood was a bit better, but it actually helps. So it says first. The first home I remember being in, we were living in the manor behind my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. And the manor is more so like it was the projects. Um, of course, nothing like the projects now, but that's what it was. My dad lived close by. All my siblings were there. All my siblings are 11 to 13 years older than me, somewhere in there. I remember, this is one vivid memory I have, my brother being beaten with an extension cord because he came in late one night, and I assume my mom was just tired of talking to him and telling him not to come in so late, and she whooped his ass good with an extension cord. I remember Michael Jackson Thriller video scared me for years. And I mean, I remember I think I moved my first home I was 21, and the Thriller video came on, and it really had me just stuck. The whole house was dark. I had just had music playing, Thriller came on. My neighbor Lucille right across the hall, she used to babysit me sometimes. I went to the neighborhood store, Mr. Beatty's down the street. I used to love Mr. Beatty's, really nice guy. He owned his little mom and pop store where he sold snacks and whatnot. And also there was another store where you had to walk up through a path in the back of the apartments. I walk up there sometimes when I got a little older. And I played outside with other kids, lots of other kids outside, of course. And I remember mud pies, doing a lot of mud pies. My cousin Tamika lived on the other side, so there was some fun times. Used to have big parties with the other big cookouts and stuff with the other neighbors. My second home, I think the house was near my elementary school. Um, I remember playing with this girl named Pam, and me and Pam, she's actually really good friends with a cousin of mine. So Pam is still in my life. I had neighbors, and they had a turtle. I think there was some. I think they were white, but anyway, they had a turtle, and I played with the turtle sometimes. Uh, this was the first time I ever seen someone having sex. I caught my middle sister having sex while my mom was at work, and don't know what, to this day, I don't know what type of position they were in or what they were doing. I don't even think I still to this day have ever done this position. Or I couldn't think of it, might just be that was my first time seeing it. I didn't even know what I was seeing, but I just saw legs everywhere. Looked like both of their legs were up. I saw her and that same boyfriend fight. So that was my first time seeing domestic violence. And I remember she fell. We had a high concrete carport, and you walk up the steps, and you could jump down from the that landing. Once you go upstairs, there's a landing. You could jump down from that landing down into the carport, and they fell off of that landing down onto the cement carport. And I do believe, from my memory, she was on the bottom, and that really stuck with me. Um, I believe she got put out shortly after that because I don't remember her being there anymore. I barely remember my brother being there, and I remember playing with Pam a lot. I had a little small pool in the yard and we would play. So on to my third house. Um, this is where my mom had this boyfriend that I didn't really care for. His name was well, not gonna mention names, but he had a daughter, and they were around a lot. I didn't like him, and his daughter, she'd want to play house, and at night in the bed because we sleep in the same bed together, and I didn't want to, and I made it clear that I didn't want to. My siblings were definitely out on their own by this time. I guess they definitely weren't living there, and we visit. I had a swing set that I loved playing on in my house, and I remember the house being dark though. It's something that always stood out to me. The house was dark, and it was not much natural light coming through. And I had a classmate that lived up the street, and we would play together a lot. He actually ended up dying in his mid 30s, I believe, some years back. Yeah, and I remember all of the houses that we did live in. It was clean, and my mom would play music, loud music, and clean up the house on Saturday mornings. And I mean, that was some good music. I still love old school music to this day. Um, the the last house as a kid was this big white house, huge yard across from one of my aunt's house. I had a slip and slide, hula hoop bike, Nintendo, and I had this friend who lived on the side street, across the street on the side. Um, she was a little white girl, and she and I played a lot, and she had this dog that wasn't so friendly. This dog chased me home one day, and I mean, I was terrified. I was scared of dogs for a while after that. And we played until she tried putting a caterpillar on me. I have a thing about those. To this day, it still bothers me, and I'm still working on that. But I hit her. Maybe I hit her a few times, but after that, that was a wrap. I remember playing alone a lot. I had Barbie dolls, and I had a little room on the outside on the back porch where I played house, and I climbed trees and catch lightning bugs and huge moths and big butterflies. And I would eat from this muscadine vine that we had in the yard. Just a huge yard, lots to discover for a kid. Had this big magnolia tree in the front, um, and lots of blooms, and so just a lot to do, a lot of fun times. And I would help my mom rake leaves in the fall. And at this time, she was still dating this same guy. And my last memory of him was him threatening her. And I remember him saying, "I'll kill you." And he said my mom's name. And I said to her, if he does anything to my mom, I'm gonna do the same thing to you. And I remember going into our kitchen and getting this big, giant, rusty butcher knife that we had for some years. And I think shortly after that, he moved out. Also, where am I? Yeah, I remember I'd go to my grandmother's after getting off the school bus. 'Cause my mom would still be at work, and my mom would take me to get pizza every Friday and rent a Nintendo game. And my dad was active, but I remember him leaving me waiting by the window a few times, and that really had me sad because that was really the only time I had someone that I could play with constantly, because he had two other kids at that time, a boy and a girl, and they were maybe about 3 years older than me. All right, so I'm gonna stop there. I'm going to discuss my perspective on things now, what I've learned and what I've learned about myself. So, being that we moved a lot, I feel like now is why I love being settled and stable in one place. And I take pride in my home, and I love making it a home with decorating, because that's how I grew up with my mom. It was always clean house. Everything was always in its place. And I realized that after going back and doing this journaling. Another thing I realized is that I'm okay with being alone, and I actually like it, and I actually need it sometimes. Well, as a kid, of course, kids love to play and be around other people. But when I was alone, I remember I was okay, and I think that it caused me to be more creative and just be okay with being in my own presence. I have come across women who, and even in my family, they just do not like being alone. Either they don't like actually being in the house itself alone, or they don't like being alone in a relationship, and sometimes both. I realized, doing hair and real estate, talking to different people, people grow up different. And when you're dealing with people, you have to understand that. Everybody didn't have that parent that catered to them or taught them certain things, or, people we're just different. And we have to learn to appreciate that about each other. And it's not our fault. I also learned as a parent now, be mindful of sleepovers. Ask your child, how was it? If you do have a sleepover, ask them, how was it? Ask them, did anything strange or uncomfortable happen? Because now I know kids are just going to be curious. Some sooner than others. And maybe, thinking back on it, maybe she was touched. Maybe somebody was doing that with her and she thought it was okay, liked it or whatever. I'm not sure. I just know that I wasn't introduced to that, and it wasn't comfortable for me. And I'm sure I didn't tell my mom. I don't remember telling her any of that. I just shut it down, and that was the end of it. Also, being that I had so much alone time, and I did have a Nintendo, but that wasn't something that I would do all the time, all day, all night long. Now I do that with my kids, being they have access to all these electronics. There are days on our schedule where they are not allowed to use any electronics. And I try to get them to engage in thought-provoking activities. Also, I learned with the whole knife situation with the guy threatening my mom and me hearing him threaten her. And his daughter wanting to touch me inappropriately, I learned that I'm definitely not a pushover. And I realized, looking back with this journaling, I'm that way now, and I've been that way since a kid. Nothing's new. And I actually like that about myself because a lot of women, even men, get taken advantage of because they don't speak up for themselves, or they might be, for whatever reason, may be afraid to speak up for themselves. I'm not sure. Um, I know for me, for whatever reason, it was just in me to say no, you're not gonna do this. I don't like this, and to defend my mom. So, what have you learned about yourself looking back from ages 5 to 10? Put it in the comments. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Tell me what you've learned. If you can't remember, say, shoot, I can't remember. Just let me know. Again, bear with me. This is new for me. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know. So, until next time, be who you want others to be to you.